Okay, let me go ahead and get this quickly started. The faster I get started, the faster I can finish. Again, I'm Jesse. I do videos on YouTube about, mostly lately, about spirituality and faith. And instead of writing articles, maybe for a while I'll do videos on politics. What's on my mind today is the unfortunate reality that the serious issues of our time are being handled by people with serious mental health issues, like Rachel Maddow, like Chris Cuomo. There's some guy that gets invited into the Five from Fox News, who sits at the liberal Democratic seat. Uh, and if you don't know the Five on Fox, basically there's four so-called conservatives and one die. They have the seat occupied by one liberal. Used to be Bob Beckel, mostly occupied by Juan Williams. And when you listen to these individuals, I mean, what you hear, unfortunately, is a bunch of irrational statements that are not based on fact. And these are the serious issues: immigration, law enforcement, uh, terrorist threats, healthcare, um, taxes. One of the things you got from Obama was poor administration, and that poor administration led to the $20 trillion national debt. And you have to see that as an important issue because that's going to affect how government functions, what becomes a public policy, and how that public policy affects the average individual. Basically, what I mean by how does it affect you in taxes. Excuse me, I have to drink something or else I'm going to start coughing. And you have all these individuals in the media talking, giving their opinion, moving people one way, moving people the other way. And it's time for the people of the United States of America. This crooked, no, that was no better. Okay, so it's time for the people of the United States of America to move their Congress. But they're keeping you occupied with their news stories. They're keeping you occupied with their commentary. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's all information manipulation. They tell you something because they know it's going to cause a reaction, a response. And it's time to get out of that. Um, it's wrong to be moved from one place. And by, what I mean by being moved from one place to another, in your mindset, in your philosophy, what do you believe? You should know what you believe. Commentators on Fox News shouldn't have to tell you what you believe. Commentators on CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC shouldn't have to tell you what to think. You should be able to look at the issues and come to a common sense understanding. There's a delicate balance between government and the governed. And in that delicate balance, it is the governed who are in charge. That's why you select your officials. And we've been seeing since John Boehner a serious anti the will of the people attitude from the American Congress. And the people have to decide, are they all in? Are they going to do what is necessary to get this Congress to behave itself and to follow the will of the people? Healthcare. Only so much can be done by government. The reality in healthcare is that people don't want to pay for it. They want to buy 60-inch televisions for $1,000. The people want to do that. The people want to buy an iPhone for $800, if not more. They want to do that. The people want to buy a Camaro or a Ford Mustang, but they don't want to be responsible in providing themselves with their own health care. In life, you got to set priorities. Is it internet, cable, and satellite television, or is it healthcare? What do you pay for first? So the problem in healthcare is the individual who does not want to pay for his or her healthcare, his or her health insurance. Immigration. I was born in Mexico. I've lived in the border town of El Paso, Texas, the majority of my life, over 40 years. In my family, I've heard the anti-government attitude and you gotta screw the American government attitude. You gotta get on welfare. You gotta get on food stamps. You gotta get into government housing. Oh, the government is so bad to people. The government hurts people. The government victimizes people. And none of that is true, but that's what I've heard. There is no legitimate reason for anybody in Mexico to think that they have the right to come to this country. Now, through this political evolution, because there was a time in America where you just could not criticize immigrants. And I am glad that I am a big part of a revamping of politics in America towards the immigrant, because you've been lied to. They're not victims. They're people who victimize. They do come for welfare. I can personally tell, as a person born in Mexico, living in El Paso, Texas, over 40 years, people from Mexico, enter America illegally with the intent of getting on government assistance as fast as possible. The people who don't get on government assistance is because they were not smart enough to get on government assistance, and the only thing that is left is for them to work. But when they go to work, they get the federal minimum wage is $7.25. They may get $4, $3. All over El Paso, there are construction sites. This is one of the things that gets me. I like Trump, hardcore supporter of Trump. But if you were looking for a city to purge of people who are in the country legally, El Paso, Texas would serve that purpose very well. In downtown El Paso, there's the majority of the stores in downtown El Paso have people who don't have the right to be in the country, much less to work. Every day, as I operate my taxi, I see taxi drivers taking women with traveler's visas to go clean homes. And the women who are working as maids who don't have the legal authority to work in Mexico are wrong. And the people who hire them in these rich neighborhoods are wrong. And the police officers and border patrol who turn the other way are wrong. And I tell you that you turn the other way because when you're in certain environments, you see and hear certain things. And one of the comical things that I've heard was that these women were in line to enter El Paso, Texas from Juarez, a Mexican city, and one of the customs officers gets smart and yells out, "Okay, all of you who are coming to work, come over to this line." And a bunch of these women with their traveler visas start running towards that line, not realizing what they just did. They just identified themselves as a person with a traveler's visa coming to the United States of America to work. and that's the attitude. It's better to make it a joke, not to look at it seriously as a employee of the Department of Homeland Security. You people don't see that. I see that in El Paso, Texas. I'm going to move on. As far as the history is concerned, Texas, the people who were coming into Texas, before Texas was Texas, were invited by the Mexican government. And they were rich ranchers, cow people, farmers. And they were invited. And then the Mexican government became abusive. It became almost like King George towards the colonists, taxing them for every little thing. So the people in Texas defended themselves against the Mexican government. There was the Alamo, which the Mexican government won, but the war continued. And in that continuance of the war, Santa Anna was captured. And for his release, he signed away Texas. The military general of Mexico, having been captured, signed away Texas so he could be freed. The people of Mexico have no case against Texas because of that. Now, you had the state of Texas becoming part of the United States of America. You have American troops, and I'm careful with this because it's suspect, but it doesn't matter. How the Mexican-American War started does not matter. What matters is that there was a Mexican-American War. And in that Mexican-American War, Mexico lost. And in that loss, Mexico made concessions to the United States of America, which involved California, New Mexico, Arizona, and other territories. So Mexicans have no claim to Texas because their Santa Anna person signed it away in order to be freed. And of course, they have no case against California, Arizona, New Mexico, other territories, because there was a war and America won. If the people of Mexico want to reclaim what they consider to be their territories, then the Mexican government has to issue a formal declaration of war, which I don't think they're going to do. So when people of Mexico, because that's what they're justifying it now. Before this evolution in politics, where you can now criticize an immigrant from Mexico, an illegal immigrant from Mexico, they were saying that, well, there's no opportunities. We're human beings. We have to eat. We have to go pursue where their jobs are, which it's just a falsity. I live in this culture. You're not going to tell me the honest sincerity of a Mexican. I'll tell you the honest sincerity of a Mexican. And the honest sincerity of a Mexican is they have been convinced by American politicians and by other politicians, mostly their politicians, that they have the right to enter America illegally. And that's false. There was nothing, I mean, almost nothing in Arizona, in California, in New Mexico, that the people of Mexico were building in these territories before the Americans came. All the public schools, all the public hospitals, all the banks, all the Walmarts, all the lawyers' offices, that was after the fact. Everything that is on soil that people from Mexico believe was theirs was built by Americans. Now, I always hear this, Mexicans built America. No, you were the labor. But the wisdom, the intelligence was coming from American minds. You would not have had, well, you shouldn't have had a job in the first place, but you would not have had a job if it wasn't American smart people generating industry. But they have no claim. They have no legal claim. They have no humanitarian claim. Nothing was taken from them. Their own leadership gave stuff away. Concessions of war, and then of course Mr. Santa Anna having been captured in order to be freed, signed away Texas. And that's true history. Something else that I didn't know back in and I just saw this, and I've seen it before, 1912 to 1919, the Mexican government was killing Catholic priests. Now, I have no love for the Catholic Church, but you're killing docile people, kind people, pleasant people, misguided, but people of God. And that's their history. Yeah, people don't understand why it is that I tell them to beware of the people of Mexico. There's something wrong. There's something missing. And what's missing is God, humanity, compassion, sympathy. They are no more than gang members incarcerated gang members. They have the mindset of criminals. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care what they take. I live in this culture. I can tell you this. Moving on. Crime. You have to have stability in society, otherwise society cannot function. And these are the issues of Mr. Trump. Immigration, the border wall has to be built. The situation has become so serious, in my opinion, to continue to allow the people of Mexico to continue to come into this country is more dangerous than Islamic terrorist. You know what an Islamic terrorist is, and you know what an Islamic terrorist is going to do. There's a lot of lies about what a Mexican is and what a Mexican will do. And a Mexican is a person who is raised with a lawless attitude. Now, another serious issue of our time, North Korea, Syria, Iran. I hate to say it, but China and Russia are using these areas to have America spend her wealth and become weak while they become strong. That's what it seems like. What are we going to get from Syria? We stand up for, yes, we do stand up for the humanitarian cause. We emphatically denounce abuses of our brothers and sisters around the world without equivocation. No discussion. You will not murder the innocent. That has to be the American policy. And everything doable has to be done in order to prevent as much murder of the innocent as can be prevented. But you don't throw the country away. You don't engage yourself in an area where you're going to spend a whole lot of money, save very little life, and accomplish nothing. The world has to get involved. That's one of the biggest things that I enjoyed hearing from Trump is he understands the need for global cooperation in security and stability. I wrote in a paper that it is Europe who is confronting the brunt of terrorist attack. And it is in their best interest to come together and share counterterrorism resources to defeat the terrorists within their borders. And America has to do the same. America has to use her resources to stop terrorism in her borders. And of course we cooperate internationally. It's what I question. And these people, with their nonsense ideas, that the president cannot say people coming from this country are a serious threat to American society. Everything now is coming back on them. What they tried to do, what they tried to do at the beginning of the Trump administration is now backfiring. And a lot of people, a lot of conservatives stood strong. But I had the opportunity of talking to a lot of people. And I know when somebody's not a Trump supporter and pretending to just so they can criticize him. But I also see a lot of people who, well, I like Trump, but now, and the but now is because of what they've seen in the news media. And the news media deliberately lied, manufactured fiction for the purposes of manipulating the hearts, minds, and behaviors of conservatives. You keep hearing polls. These are the same polls that said Hillary Clinton was going to win. Why would you listen to another poll from any of these organizations ever again? I'm 100% supportive of Mr. Donald Trump. have not changed. Low taxes is correct. Lowering the national debt is correct. An equal partnership in the war on terror is correct. Uh, Reining in a responsible government is correct. Minimizing government interest in healthcare and letting the free market run itself in the delicate relationship between buyers and sellers, that's correct. Deregulation that interferes in business and does nothing else, has no positive benefit to society other than to stop a company from making money because Democrats don't like profit, success, progress. America is a free nation. America is a free market nation. As a simple taxi driver in El Paso, Texas, I was under serious regulation before August of 2016. And then because of Uber's involvement in the city, the government took away over 95%. I'm going to have some days off and I'm going to produce some videos of certain taxi inspectors and how they believe that they have so much power. In America, they have no understanding or respect of the Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable search and seizure. You can't even explain it to them. And when you tell them that they cannot cross this line, they behave like pathetic little babies who were just told no. These are very important issues. And the American people need to decide what is going to be their proper response. It's going to be a long fight. And the proper response is to keep looking for quality leaders and to keep supporting them. And if you cannot find a quality leader, maybe you should run for Congress. You know, this is serious. We are in jeopardy. Those of us who live in America are in jeopardy because the crazy people want to burn the house down. Thank you for listening, and I wish you well.